welcome back and moving on to our second segment for today. Well, of course, we all know that Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib, recently inaugurated an international seminar on Islam and the West. And he also actually talked about East and West and came to share many cultural and civilizational perspectives. We have many things to be discussed in this respect, but first allow me to welcome our guest for today, Dr. Hassan Wagih. He's Professor of Political Science. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Kareem.
Doctor, the President has recently called and stressed on revolutionizing the religious speech. How do you see that?
Yes, reforming the religious discourse.
Yes.
Right. I think this is an important call for doing that. But I think the situation from my own perspective is far more wider than this. Because when you have campaigns and Islamophobic discourse and Islamophobic campaigns deliberately intended, and if we connect it with some political science stuff like clash of civilization and end of history, you say if you are not to believe in our end of history, to be dependent on us, the end of everything is our model, take it or there is clash of civilization for you. So there is something deliberately done when it comes to Islamophobic crises being invented, being managed anyway. So it doesn't have any relationship with the reforming of religious discourse. Religious discourse has also a very important focus inside our Islamic world, where people are not receiving the correct moderate version of Islam. This is, of course, it's a task of Al-Azhar, and Al-Azhar is trying to do all it can do, but to ask Al-Azhar to be responsible for this problem, it's an international, it is multi-layered. I have written a book on managing Islamophobic discourses, so many delegates from abroad during when I was a member in the Higher Islamic Council, and for 4 years, I convened with foreign experts from all over the world. And I put their experience in that book, and I analyzed it. And we made like 17 arguments being launched. 90% of them does not belong to us. So we have this to focus on, but also we have to have an eye on what is happening internationally, and we have to have some sort of positive intervention in the Western media and in symposia, and this is why Al-Azhar symposia are very important. Also, the Higher Council for Islamic Affairs symposia are very good. This is very good that we had the Sharm el-Sheikh convention. It's any cross-cultural communication or any intercultural dialogue. It should be encouraged, and it should be. It should help us to intervene and to make a stop on these campaigns and these proxy wars. You know, the idea of proxy war is a larger context, where you have countries are using religion and using every tool to hide their agenda and to try to make sedition and to make these language crimes, sedition, insinuation, etc., to destabilize our area in particular. And you can see this. You can see it also. We don't want to say only that we have a problem in the religious discourse. Yes, we have. We do have one. But its scope is not that big. What is the bigger now? In the United States, fair-minded researchers are talking about those who would like to activate wars in our area, more wars, getting Iran and the Arab world into another terrible Hermageddon, as they say it, as they call it. This is their own terminology.
They want an unstable Syria.
And after that, there will be greater Israel. We have to understand these two blue strips in the Israeli flag. And we have to be very courageous to say that. And we have to stop that from happening. We are not supposed to fall in the trap of getting into a Sunni-Shia fight. All the reasonable, fair-minded people in our area should intervene to prevent this from happening. Because it is being organized. And some people are saying by the end of this month, end of November, there should be the battle. And it's connected with so many events. We don't have time to delve into these aspects. But it is being launched against us. It's far more bigger than reforming the religious discourse.
So if I'm talking about the role of Al-Azhar so far, the developments that took place when it comes to Islam and the West, well, they achieved a lot actually recently, but as you mentioned, still there are many challenges to be taken into consideration. How can we work on these challenges?
Actually, Al-Azhar has to work much more harder than that in getting to the grassroots. And I think that the last symposia conducted and several other symposia, which were very good when it comes to leaders, getting academic orientation individuals or experts, getting the audience of Al-Azhar and the audience of its symposia. But again, there should be some form of launching much more detailed and much more room for much more wider dialogue that would reach the people, would reach outside the...
Citizens will be the our main target,
yes,
actually.
how could we devise modalities, making caucuses, making several symposia taking place? It shouldn't be seasonal from time to time. There should be something like, I was in the United Nations University Millennium Project. I was chosen as an expert in this. They have, for instance, 19 challenges, and they asked us to be focusing on one challenge or two, and like 100 experts all over the world, but on a continuous basis. When I did that for 1 year, it took me all the time to do it. Why? Because you are not supposed to look at the challenge seasonally, from time to time, and making this beautiful gathering, and then everyone goes away, and nothing is being followed, nothing is being accumulated, nothing is being policy making orientation. There is no learned lessons, quick learned lessons, and dealing with the events on the spur of the moment. All of these are seasonal. Even this is a very cultural thing we have to change. Because even when we decided to look at the future, we were talking about the future in some centers. So they say the next 5 years, and they took 2 years as a researcher. By these 2 years, events in a world of a very high-paced change made the studies useless for time. So I think that we have to think differently of managing our problems in Al-Azhar and outside Al-Azhar, of course. Al-Azhar is part of our culture, and the mentality of managing and the management gap is there everywhere. We have to handle this honestly.
And sir, speaking about combating extremist ideas and extremism, what's your opinion, or how do you see this?
Of course, you have to start with education and with the media. Both are two arms of your tools to handle this very complicated problems. Actually, it comes from even family bringing up. When it comes to, let us make just a taxonomy of it. You have to start from verbal violence. If you can see people around the corner are engaging in verbal violence, you have to understand and you have to analyze what is this verbal violence, what is the story of it, why they are doing that, why they are not handling their problem in a very calm and cool way. It starts from this. And this verbal violence takes several cycles and escalates till it becomes physical violence. Even you can't imagine that some people really, there was a very famous actor. They asked him, what do you do with your kids in your leisure time? He said, oh, we fight happy fighting, but this is because of it. If we start taking violence as even of making it a happy one, I think we have to handle this from the roots of the societal level. This is why
tough methods of games.
Yes, and also, by the way, talking about the game, games are enhancing violence, and especially the games that came from the West and from other places.
Even cartoons,
yes,
they are triggering violence.
And they are cultivating poisons in the minds of the younger generation.
Actually, this will take me to my question in this respect, talking about the role of education in this.
Of course.
Well, of course, I'm talking about the new generation. I'm talking about kids. Just as you mentioned, talking about things that trigger violence. Even we can see this in cartoons and Disney movies and all this. So how can we work on this as well, and the role of Al-Azhar again?
Again,
our role in general.
No, but Al-Azhar tried to play a role by establishing magazines for the kids. And this is being even under the supervision of the president himself, something like that. So this is one of the pillars that we are supposed to handle when it comes to the full picture. Yes, but Al-Azhar is doing something along these lines too.
And we're airing some videos from the seminar that was organized by Al-Azhar, entitled Islam and the West. Sir, how do you see the West how we see us in their eyes?
How do I see us in their eyes?
Yes.
It takes 1 hour to talk about this. I'll give you a very good example. When I was at Georgetown University, a professor came and said, Arab persuade people by paratactic argument, means repeating the claim over and over again. They do not know syllogism, the Aristotelian model of scientific thinking.
Yes.
And that really made me pissed off because I felt like I'm being attacked, and my culture is being attacked. It's not a personal thing.
But insulting all of us, yes.
Yeah, I was like a slave that no man could free until I found some way to torpedo her arguments. And actually, I came up with a very nice thing. That was a very cool day in Washington, and the university told us there are problems of getting because of the tough weather, so stay at home. So at that time, I had a video by El Kif.
Yeah.
You know, this is an Egyptian movie.
Yeah.
And I can't go out. So I listened to it several times. And I found Mahmoud Abdulaziz, the two actors, and Yahya al-Fakhrani. They say, why you are angry? They say, I don't have enough money to send my kids to the school.
Yeah.
He said, you don't have that money? He said, I don't have that money. So he repeated it, I treated it like 5 times. But in the translation, it came like paratactic, it came like repetition. We persuade people by repeating the claim over and over again. But everything they said about this was associated with a frame. If we make a frame analysis, you can find the first repetition was checking. The second repetition was like getting to make sure. The third repetition was made to be sarcastic. The fourth one,
affirmation,
rebuking. Yeah. So I took that video and I presented, and I said, our repetition is different from your repetition. And Patai, in the Arab Mind, in his book, wrote something along the professor, what the professor said, because he said Nasser talked to King Hussein, and they made a reiteration of the same thing. So repetition has different functions in our Arabic discourse, far more different from, we have like 30 functions for repetition while they are having only 3. So some people are reeling when things get translated and get transmitted. They have misinformation. So the answer is not to let Patai write about our Arab mind. We should take care of this. So research is very important. Research, and how research could retaliate, because there are so many misinformation and disinformation campaigns even in the academic discourse. If you look at the crises, October War, 1956, all these crises were disfigured, misframed. The mentality of the West was very good, that I learned it there. I met very fair-minded professors. Let me be very fair about this, but
the 1973 victory was portrayed totally as a defeat.
Exactly. I responded to that in my dissertation. I responded to this centrality, and Dr. Miseri, may God rest his soul, was so happy to see this dissertation and asking me to present the trouble I have made, I have encountered. Me and like 100 researchers. It was in Cairo University symposium about the centrality of the Western discourses, whether it is in the academia or in the media. And this is a very long story. To cut it, yes, we have to work on reforming so many of the misconceptions, misperception, and misinformation that is taking place, whether in the media or in
so we need to take, first of all, the list
level even,
of
and
how
the
they see
level.
us. I mean,
Yes.
how they see us, and we have to take priorities to put points so that we can answer each one just as you mentioned.
And I'd like very much to quote Dr. Yahya Rakhawi, when he was talking about how to reform the image of Islam in the West. He said we have to reform the original before the portrait.
Right.
So we have to work hard, actually.
Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science, of course, always a pleasure having you with us on our show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for your insight, sir. And dear viewers, by this we wrap up today's episode of The Breakfast Show. Just a quick recap of what we talked about. We talked about the ramifications and the recommendations that came out from, of course, the World Youth Forum that was organized in the coastal city of Sharm el-Sheikh. And we also talked about the ramifications of a seminar that was held by Al-Azhar entitled Islam and the West. Dear viewers, you're in the company of Nashwa Rashid and Karim Gamal Al-Din. Until we meet again, this is goodbye.